Hi, I'm Sam, and welcome back. I know that I'm not the only one who watches things. I spend a lot of time on YouTube just having it playing in the background, but I don't really have anyone to share them with, so I'm just going to talk about them. I'm just going to talk about the things that I see that infuriate me. First things first, the whole WAP by Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. I love it. I am so entertained. I'm so entertained. So first of all, one of my favorite things is listening to Ben Shapiro. You know the remix that I'm talking about?
Wet ass P-word. Make that pull-out game weak. Yeah.
So funny. I just find it so funny that people are so upset about it. I just don't understand why. And the funny thing is that like every few years there's that song that people, usually conservatives, get outraged about the language, and it always happens. And I feel like every time it happens, especially like, not especially, it's just that it's happening now, right? It feels like this is the one, right? This one's a step too far. It always feels like that. It's really not that big of a deal, and let me tell you why. Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion are not your guys' mom. They're not teachers. They don't claim any kind of authority over any subject like morality or whatever, right? Like, that's not what they're here for. Go to Spotify, go to Cardi B, scroll through an album. The little E, right? Meaning that there's going to be foul language. Yeah, it's like all of them. It's like all of them. That is what she does. It's not like they have ever claimed to be or ever tried to be like more like role models in morality and ethics, right? Let me give you an example. Ellen DeGeneres. So things have been coming out, right, that Ellen DeGeneres is turning out to not be a great person. And so she's getting a lot of flack for it, and there's like other things going on behind the scenes at her show. But if we think about it, if the things, and this isn't to defend her, by the way, if we think about it, like the whole, when she wrote that letter or whatever, she called up that restaurant to complain about the waitress who had, her nails weren't perfectly manicured, right? But if we heard that Kylie Jenner had done that, everyone would kind of roll their eyes and be like, yeah, of course she did, right? It wouldn't be completely out of character for Kylie to do something like that. And I'm sure we can think of other influencers and celebrities who, if they did that, we'd all just kind of go, we'll add that to the list. But because Ellen has been this sort of figure of, she was an LGBT figure who, like, all of that she had to go through, and like commending her totally for that. But her show is about positivity, right? It's very positive, family-friendly space. And when her actions is so against that, that's a big reason why she's getting so much flack for all of that. It matters how you typically try to portray yourself as a public figure. So what you do and how you are trying to portray yourself and who your audience is meant to be, it matters. And so that is to say, Cardi B, say it with me, Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion are not your mom. They're not your teachers, all right? They're rap music artists. Moving right along, Bryce Hall's home, their like electricity and stuff getting shut down. I find it very difficult to feel any kind of sympathy, honestly, for them, because nobody has to have a party. I don't care. I really don't care. It's not a necessity. So knowing the rules, knowing how, okay, fine, you're young, you're probably gonna be fine, You cannot convince me that the people who are irresponsible enough to go to a party they know very damn well is going to be full, right? You can't tell me that someone who's dumb enough, selfish enough to go to that kind of party is also taking every precaution outside of that, right? If they're going to this party, they're probably going out other places without a mask. They're probably freaking touching everything everywhere, not washing their hands, they're probably putting other people at risk. And I just feel so disappointed for some influencers who I didn't think would get caught up in that, like Charli D'Amelio, James Charles, Emma Chamberlain. I'm not really a fan of like anybody. I'm just not that kind of person. I'm not a fan of anybody. But I kind of expected better from them, and I'm disappointed. Another thing that's been entertaining me, sadly, the NYU food stuff, like the Fire Festival type meals that they've been getting.
Oh my god, this is the worst one I've seen. Who put this in this bag?
Like bread for people with gluten allergies, vegan and vegetarian people given like chicken and beef. And universities like NYU, they have the budget. It's really just greed. Oh God. I honestly don't have that much more to say about that. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with time. This next one really grinds my gears. So some time ago, Mossimo Giannulli, Lori Loughlin's husband, was sentenced to, I believe, 5 months of prison, 250 hours of community service, and $250,000 in fines. And now Lori Loughlin, aka Aunt Becky, is receiving 2 months of prison time, 100 hours of community service, $150,000 in fines. So I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough. Hold up. I need to find what the judge said real quick. Here you are, an admired, successful actor with a long-lasting marriage, with 2 healthy, resilient children, more money than you could possibly need, a fairy tale life, yet you stand before me a convicted felon. And for what? For the inexplicable desire to grasp even more. And isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? Some very wealthy people who really just, no one put a gun to their head and had them lie. They weren't going to go hungry. This wasn't to get bread on the table, right? This was out of greed. Not wanting to really put in the work that people who don't have their resources would have to put in to get what they want. Prestige. That's really all it is. Prestige. And now the question is, what is going on with Olivia Jade in all of this? She's young, but she's college age. She's not that young. She has responsibility to take here, right? In my opinion. So at the beginning of all of this, there was kind of this idea, right, that was put out there that Olivia Jade wasn't really that involved, like her parents were doing this, like, I don't know, but that seemed really not likely, because I feel like you would know. Court documents that were, I think, released in June showed possible evidence that Olivia Jade was pretty involved going in. You kind of have to be. So for example, one thing that I did read real quick on was that they were in conversations in how, what Olivia Jade would be doing in order to kind of fall under the radar when it came to her college counselor in high school. The last I know Olivia Jade mentioning in all of this is that she's not going to talk about it because, it's like legal proceedings. That makes sense. But there is a question here. Is Olivia Jade going to face any kind of legal repercussions for this? I hope so. She's not a little girl. And when it comes to her parents, people go to jail for far less and for much more time than they are facing. And I'm just so frustrated because this isn't a victimless crime. They would have legitimately ruined someone else's or some other people's chances at going to a competitive university. People who don't have the resources that they do, who work their asses off in rowing, in this case, to get an academic scholarship, because otherwise they may not be able to attend a competitive university. And so when you have these entitled rich families who just want to save a buck, right? Or who just don't want to put in that effort to achieve the academic rigor that is necessary to make it into these universities, it's infuriating. I mean, I don't want to sound mean, but Olivia Jade, Ms. Jade, I hope you see legal repercussions. You're not a baby. And that is all I have to say for today. I think I've spoken enough. Let me know, is there anything that you've seen that like just infuriates you? You don't really have anyone to talk to about it. That is what I have to say about that. I'm sure there's other things that I haven't thought of that just make my blood boil. Anyway, have a good one. Stay safe and don't make dumb choices. Bye.